Hi my lovelies, it's Mio here, and today I have another tutorial for you. It is a polymer clay tutorial, and I'm going to show you how to make this really cute fruit tart that has a little kitty poking out. I really wanted to make a fruit tart that looks very realistic, but with a custard kitty that's poking out so you know that it's not real. I love how it turned out, and I hope you guys like this tutorial. For more like these, please subscribe and give me a thumbs up. And do follow me on Instagram if you want to check out my tutorials that are to come. My username is FlyingMio. Alright, let's go ahead and get this tutorial started. To form the base of your tart cup, you're going to need a yellow piece of polymer clay, and you're going to flatten this into a thin sheet. You don't want it to be too thin. Mine was about 3 millimeters thick. And once you're done rolling this out into a sheet, I took an object that has a nice round circle and I gently pressed it into the center. The diameter of the circle is about 2 inches, and you don't want to press it all the way through. The reason why is because I'm going to cut out what looks like a daisy into this piece of clay, and I just made small little semicircles all around the circle that I made earlier, and with an X-Acto knife I cut it all out, so I have what looks like here like a flower. Now to form the edges of your fruit tart cup, you're going to take the remaining yellow clay and you're going to roll this into a long thin snake. And using a roller, you're going to flatten this piece out. Again, you don't want it to be too thin. If it's too thin, the sides of your cup will be too flimsy. You want it to be about 2 millimeters thick. Try to make your long thin strip as even as possible. As you can tell here, it's about 1 centimeter in terms of width, and I tried to make sure that it's really even. And go ahead and line the edges of your flat flower that you created earlier with your piece of clay. Be sure to spend a lot of time smoothing out all the edges and making sure it looks really nice and neat. So this is what the cup bottom looks like so far, and I'm taking a really old paintbrush here and I'm using the bristles to form a little texture on the side so it looks more realistic. So this is the bottom of my fruit tart cup. As you can see, it's pretty porous and it looks somewhat realistic. Now I want to give it some shades of color, so I took some chalk pastels and I took some brown, yellow, and orange and mixed it up together. And I went ahead and dust this along the edges where it would be a little more burnt if you really did bake this fruit tart in your oven. The places where I concentrated most of the color on was on the edges and the corners of my fruit tart base. Now for the fruit pieces, I'm going to start off by making the raspberry. You're going to roll a lot of small tiny little balls, and with the pin I took a larger piece of clay and I placed it on there just to hold it in splat. Now I'm going to take the smaller piece of balls that I rolled out earlier and pretty much cluster them all around the larger piece of clay until it looks like a raspberry. It looks pretty edible when you're all done. Now moving on to the other pieces of fruit, I'm going to make the strawberry. I took a light pink piece of pink clay and I shaped it into what looks like a long teardrop. With a darker piece of pink clay, you're going to form the same teardrop shape, but you're going to form a dent along the center and it's going to be a little bit larger. You're going to insert the lighter piece of pink clay in the center, and this will form a gradient because most strawberries that are cut in half have a light gradient in the center. Don't worry about the extra detailing, we will paint those on later. So for the back side of the strawberry, you're going to take a clay tool and form little dots all along the back so it looks like seeds. For blueberries, they're pretty simple. You're just going to take a dark blue-black piece of clay and roll them into small little balls like so. And on one end of the blueberry, I'm just taking a clay tool forming X's and I'm going to gently pull it up so it looks like a realistic blueberry. The final piece that's missing is the leaf, so I just took some light green pieces of clay and I shaped it into what looks like a teardrop. And you can take a clay tool and you can scrumple up the edges so it looks more realistic, kind of like a spearmint leaf. I baked the bottom part of the fruit tart in the oven for 20 minutes until it's rock solid, and I went ahead and took some custard colored clay to fill in the bottom. It really helps to bake the piece first before you fill it in with the custard yellow color, because otherwise you might reshape the piece that you spent so much time creating. So once I filled the bottom part with some custard looking clay, I'm going to take the same color and create the kitty cat. So what I'm forming here is the body. As you can see, I have some body and 2 little legs poking out. I spent a lot of time making sure it looks just the way I want it, and I positioned it onto the back part of my fruit tart cup. All you need to do now is form the rest of the kitty. So with a round piece of clay, I formed the head and 2 little triangles to form the ears. And once you inserted the ears, I took a clay tool, really a blade, and I blended it in so it looks really nice and even. And make sure you're using all the same colored clay here. It's supposed to be a really light custard looking piece of clay. Now once you're done with the head, go ahead and form the face. I just put a very standard kitty cat face on it. I just put some little brown dots for the eyes and a little X for the mouth, and I went ahead and dusted the cheeks so it has some color. So here are all the fruit pieces that I have so far, and I went ahead and painted the extra details that I didn't do earlier. You can choose to bake your fruit pieces first and then paint them, or you can paint them and bake them later. It really doesn't matter. Surprisingly, nail polish can bake with your clay just fine. My preference is to bake all the fruit pieces first before I go ahead and insert them on. So here the fruit pieces are already baked, and I'm slowly positioning them in the spots where I think would look the best. I tried to make sure that each piece looks very even and balanced when my fruit cup is done. So this is what my fruit cup looks like so far, and for the last finishing touches I took some light pink clay and filled in the back parts of my kitty feet so it looks like kitty cat paws. All you have to do is form little circles, one big center one, and 3 smaller ones that surround it to look like the back of the paw. Now, for finishing touches, I also took some green paint and painted the leaves so they look more realistic. And again, when I'm all done and inserted all my pieces together, I baked the entire piece in the oven for another 20 minutes at 250 degrees Fahrenheit. Everything survived the baking process, including the nail polish and paint that I used to make all the extra details. This is my final piece after I glazed it with some glaze, and I loved how it turned out. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. For more like these, please subscribe and give me a thumbs up. And do follow me on Instagram. My username is FlyingMio. I hope you guys found this tutorial useful. Good luck everyone, and I'll catch you soon. Bye!